Hey, shalom, shalom. Hayawam tawab la atam za'ach yakam yawam man rachakador Charlotte, which is good day. This is your brother Yawan from the JMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam kaya hamalakotah shemayim kwa repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call layim la abanawa Yahweh bahasham Yahweh shai bahasham rochak wadash wamashna la zakwanim na wamalakam shal rochakador, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Zamashal Yah, this is Proverbs chapter 24, and we'll give verse 27. It says, prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. All right, so ultimately, we're in the process of building our house, essentially, going into ourselves, and in the process of building, it has to be a preparation stage. And I actually want to get this word for prepare. And it says, Kawan, H3559. It says to be firm, be stable, be established. All right, and ultimately, how are we able to do this? All right, by abiding in the rock, who is Yahweh Shai. All right, it says to be set up, be established, be fixed, to be firmly established, to be directed aright. You see, so first and foremost through the Lord Yahweh Shai. All right, and then also, things such as, journaling and having a schedule, you see, because when we look at, building a house, the architect always has some type of blueprint, which that blueprint, for us will be Yahweh Shai, you see. And then also, we're in kingship training, you see. So until in that, kings got a schedule, so, we should be directing our steps, all right, and prioritizing the Lord, all right, in our schedule, all right. So going back, I'm also get this because essentially we're going into building the house. All right, this is Zatahoyam. This is Psalms chapter 119. We'll get verse 9. It says Bayat. It says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? It says, by taking heed thereto according to thy word. You see, so that word for Bayat, it says Beth, but it will be Bayat. All right, and ultimately how you build a house, all right, is by having that blueprint. You see, and in the house, you gotta have the bathroom, you gotta have the front room, you gotta have a kitchen, you gotta have your room, you gotta have a garage, all right, this room for that, all right, that room for that. You see, so essentially the house has to be built up, all right, and ultimately, I'm gonna read this again. It says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? It says, by taking heed thereto according to thy word. So ultimately, how we get rid of that old man, those old habits, all right, essentially is by subscribing to this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all right, pursuant to this truth. All right, so let's get another one, because I mentioned that the rooms and stuff like that. This is Zamashal. This is Proverbs 24 and verse 3. It says, through wisdom is in house builder. You see, because it said, prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. You see, so how is it prepared? All right, scriptures say that, I'm gonna get this real fast. Zamashal. This is Proverbs chapter 9 and verse 9. Verse 1. Proverbs 9 and 1. It says, wisdom hath builded her house, she hath hewn out her 7 pillars, she hath killed her beasts, she hath mingled her wine, she hath also furnished her table, she hath sent forth her maidens, she crieth upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanteth understanding, she saith to him, come eat of my bread and drink of my wine, which I have mingled. Forsake the foolish and live, go in the way of understanding. All right, so this wisdom already has been prepared. All right, also going into this, you see, because that going back to Proverbs 24 and 27, we're building a house, and how it's prepared, how it's directed aright is ultimately by abiding in Yahweh Shai. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And that's ultimately the job of a watchman. All right, pursuant to Isaiah, Yeshaya chapter 62 and verse 6. It says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. All right, and ultimately this word has been made plain. It's been made accessible and understandable, all right, by way of the men of the Lord, all right, from the apostles and elders on down of Great Millstone. All right, so going back to Proverbs chapter 24, and we'll get verse 3. It says, through wisdom isn't house builded. All right, that's ultimately how it's prepared through wisdom. It says, and by understanding, it is established, and ultimately, again, by abiding in Yahweh Shai. He's the blueprint. The straight gate. All right, he's the trailblazer. You see, so ultimately, by following the Lord Yahweh Shai. So it says, verse 4 says, by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. You see, so and this word for chambers is going to go into Chadar Yam. All right, and it says room, innermost inward part. All right, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way by taking heed thereto according to thy word. So that's how those old habits are put away, by filling it with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So going back, and this lesson is entitled Ahchaad Dabar Baith, which is one day at a time. Ahchaad Dabar Baith, one day at a time. You see, because how is a house built? One day at a time, you see, but then also brick by brick, which is labana by labana. All right, brick by brick, one thing at a time. It's not built overnight. You get same with the process of the house. All right, you go from this room to this room. All right, first the foundation is laid. All right, then you got you fill it with the cement. All right, then you got the wood. All right, so it's one thing at a time. The rooms are filled once at a time. It's not a rushing process. Because this is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And ultimately endurance is a necessity. All right, so let's also get this. This is Luke chapter 14 and verse 28. And it says, for which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? It says, lest happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him. You see, because doing his work is likened unto, it can be likened unto building a house. All right, it can be likened unto a building. You see, so ultimately the goal, you wouldn't halfway build a house. You see, the goal should be to ultimately finish the whole house, because why ultimately start? The goal is ultimately, to finish. All right, and that's why it says consider the cost. All right. So let me see. Verse 30, it says, saying this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to war against another king sitteth not down first and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? You see, so ultimately we have to, well, I'm going to go down to verse 33. It says, or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desireth conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple. You see, so it has to be a planning phase. All right, planning is prioritizing the Lord. You see, with the schedule. All right, doing a journal for reflecting. You see, because we're building that spiritual house. And us being the spiritual parts of that house. All right, we have to ensure that we are doing things properly in the correct manner. All right, so that when the Lord returns, we are we're essentially found doing our job. All right, and that ultimately goes into building. All right, so let me get a couple more, but this is Sirach, Sirach chapter 33, and we'll get verse 4. Zaban Sirach, this is Sirach chapter 33 and verse 4. It says, prepare what to say, and so shalt thou be heard, and bind up instruction, and then make answer. All right, I'm running back. It says, prepare what to say. All right, going into preparing. All right, making sure that it's a foundational process, making sure that things are being directed right. All right, it says, and so shalt thou be heard. All right, because if it's some type of plan, all right, you just winging it. It's not wise. It's not smart to wing it. Especially being in this truth. We shouldn't be winging anything. It says, prepare what to say, and so shalt thou be heard, and bind up instruction, and then make answer, because we got mashallah, Proverbs 24 and 27. It said prepare excuse me, let me go back to it because I don't want to butcher it. This is Proverbs 24, and we get verse 27, and it says, prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. All right, and what is the key component in preparation? Yahweh Shai. It says, prepare what to say, and so shalt thou be heard, and bind up instruction, and then make answer. That instruction goes back to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures. It says, and then make answer. You see, so after everything has been properly planned, which, here in Charlotte, we had a saying of the 7 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance plus prayer. You see, so all of that is included in the preparation. You see. So continuing on, I'm gonna get this as well. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 43. And it says, blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. You see, because we had mentioned, or to reiterate in the spirit, the Lord wants to, he's coming for those that are not settled upon their leaves. He's coming for those that are working. All right, because the Lord said, occupy until I come. And ultimately going into that occupation, that the occupying phase. If you have an occupation, it's a job. You see, so at a job, you got your manual. All right, that's the preparation right there. You got the manual. You got a certain way that you do things. You're not gonna rush through this or that. All right, it's gonna be handled one thing at a time. All right, it's gonna be handled one thing at a time, and each thing goes back to a standard. They got the I believe it's the material safety data sheet. All right, our jobs have, again, the manual. A certain way to do things. All right, and that certain way to do things for us, all right, will be abiding in Yahweh Shai. So I'm gonna get a couple more, and then that'll be it. But this is 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Because again, all of this is comprised in that planning phase. With those 7 P's. You see, because we ultimately have to pray that the Lord blesses our plans. You see, we have to pray that the Lord blesses our plans, so that essentially, we won't have poor performance. All right. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. It says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. All right, I'm going to get this word for reprobates. And it says, not standing the test, not approved, properly used in metals and coins. It says that which does not prove itself such as it ought. It says unfit, unproved, spurious, reprobate. It says worthless, castaway, rejected. All right, so those that don't prepare the correct way, all right, those that are not fit, they're not preparing in the correct fashion. They're not abiding in the Lord Yahweh Shai in sincerity and in truth. They're not doing this 100%, and ultimately building with the correct foundation. They're not ultimately preparing as they should. All right, because again, we should be prioritizing the Lord. I'm gonna get this as well, and I'm gonna come back to this. This is Luke. Salah. This is Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33. And it says, but seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. You see, so first, we have to seek the kingdom of the Most High. All right, it says in his righteousness. All right, what will make us righteous is fearing the Lord. It says, and all these things shall be added unto you. See, so we will ultimately receive of the kingdom by prioritizing the Lord, by preparing our way without. All right, by essentially abiding in wisdom. You see, because that house has to be filled with something. And that something is going to be, the chambers that we got in the Proverbs, those inner rooms, Chadar Yam, Baalashwan Kwadash. All right, those are going to be filled with knowledge. All right, pursuant to Proverbs, the 24th chapter and the 3rd verse. All right, so going back, because this is 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Going back to this, it says, 2 Corinthians 13 and 5, it says, Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. All right, so a part of the planning phase as well, all right, it goes back to examining. All right, at the end of that day, all right, at the end of the day, all right, it has to be some type of checklist. Okay, did I get this done? Did I get this done? Okay, did I do this correctly? All right. If this wasn't done correctly, okay, let's get this done tomorrow and in the correct fashion. All right, that's staying on top of ourselves, all right, so that we can build our house in the correct fashion. So I just wanted to go into that, Adonai Tazazah Banaya Paulo as well. That was a beautiful edification to the spirit. Wa Adonai Tazah Atam Yash Yawam Tawab, Lord's will. You all have a good day. Wa again, La Marshana to say again. We went into Ahchaad Dabar Baith, which is one day at a time, you see, because we have to win. The victory is already written. We just have to follow the steps. We have to follow the Lord Yahweh Shai. We have to follow that blueprint, you see, and make those small checklists, check the things off the list, all right, off of that schedule, because it's not, we can't, look at it as, okay, this is or we could look at it as, or it's best to look at it one thing at a time. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. It's best to look at it one thing at a time, you see, because that builds the confidence, or that adds to the confidence. All right, and ultimately, we're winning those small victories, because ultimately those small victories is going to equal, winning the day, all right, and winning each day, all right, winning those days in the spirit. That's what counts, all right, and ultimately, that's us following the blueprint that already has been written by winning each day and prioritizing the Lord, you see. So I just wanted to go into that. Adonai Tazazah Banaya Paulo was what that was a beautiful edification to the spirit. Well, Adonai Tazah Atam Yashi Awam Tawab. Lord's will, you all have a good day. Wa Shalom Lakam, which is peace unto you all. A Shalom Shalom.